Tell me, baby, 'cause I need to know now. Welcome back to Bizarre Podcast Dogs Must Die. My name is Grant. You can call him Chip. And, as promised, we are joined once again by a guest. Please introduce yourself as you would like to be introduced.
Hey, everybody. I'm PAMaster, also known as Emily. I stream online.
We are so glad to have you.
So glad to be here.
As we talk about episodes 1 through 13, a big retrospective look back on the opening portions of Part 4, Diamond is Unbreakable. But before we get into that, Emily, PAMaster,
yes.
Any other names you wish me to address you by, what brought you here? Tell us a little bit about your JoJo journey that led to sharing takes with the world.
I first got into JoJo back when Part 3 was airing, specifically because I had always seen the old Flash animations of a stick figure beating the shit out of a rolled roller. And I had to know what led to this point in, like, that entering the cultural miasma around high school for me.
So you gotta know about the evil babies?
So I gotta know about the evil babies. I gotta step in. I gotta figure out what a stand is.
The smoke skeleton that turns people into Swiss cheese.
Yes, but of course then I had to start from the start. And so once I got through parts 1 and 2, I was really just I was in at that point. Like, there was no way I was stopping it. So once part 4 rolled around and a lot of people were saying, like, oh yeah, no, this is fantastic. Like, part 4 is one of my favorites. I'm just like, well, now I gotta. And then I think part 4 started to hit, for me personally, when Crazy Noisy Bizarre Town came on the first time.
Oh yeah. So episode 2?
Yes. And I really got a feel for, like, because Angelo, I don't know if I was feeling Angelo in particular. Like, Angelo really made this feel like more of part 3.
Yes.
Because he does feel like a more part 3 villain. He's much more deadly. He's much more threatening. And he's just a lot less a person. I don't mean that in like he commits crime. I mean, like, he doesn't feel like a fully fleshed out character. He feels like a villain that was put there to defeat.
He is much more just a bad guy.
Yes.
I have met both Nomura brothers in my life. I've never met an Angelo.
Exactly. But yeah, and from that point, I've read all of JoJo to this point. I finished part 8 a couple of weeks ago, because part 8 was finished, and that has been a ride. So it has been good to return to part 4 and our foray into Morioh and seeing what's going on here. Whenever JoJo's put against a previous part, whether it be future manga parts to this or looking back at part 1, it really is a pretty stark contrast just how far you've come. Starting with, the European fancy boys and eventually making your way to, I am going to go beat the shit out of this spaghetti, is always a journey.
I mean, that spaghetti didn't know it hit it, because spaghetti doesn't know anything. It's spaghetti.
Yeah. Don't really know how aware Pearl Jam is when it's in the food.
I don't think about Pearl Jam's exact specifics too much. Except for one thing, and that is how much of a crime it is that we got a stand that is apparently a spicy chili pepper and a stand named Red Hot Chili Pepper, and they are not the same stand.
Yeah.
If all of his food was made with Red Hot Chili Peppers, spice babies like Okuyasu could not eat it.
That's true. That's true.
I can't believe we're talking about all this spicy business the week Dune came out. Fuck this.
This episode has not come out yet while we're recording this one, but when we did watch Let's Go Eat Some Italian Food, I did ask because I couldn't stop thinking about how Pearl Jam functions. Do leftovers still have the healing properties?
And I've been thinking about that question since you asked it. I would assume that Pearl Jam's potency is based on the will of its creator.
Yeah.
And I cannot, as mentioned, imagine that Tonio Trisardi would, in any way, shape, or form, allow his food to be put back and reheated.
I think you have to ingest the stand. I think you have to eat the stand for the healing properties to work.
Yeah.
And so it depends on whether Tonio recalls the stand from leftovers. Or if there's a range thing. Like,
Yeah.
I always figured that Pearl Jam was almost regenerating in a sense. Like, it was taken from a store of, like, this swarm of peppers. And then the ones that are cooked are just kind of cooked. They're over here now. I don't think about them. I do not observe them.
I am not looking respectfully. But I am getting ahead of myself. It is time to declare why I believe JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is so popular.
Yes.
Okay.
JoJo's is popular because it is about adolescence. Each of our 3 previous JoJo's on their adventure has led to them becoming the man they are destined to be, even if only for like 3 hours in Jonathan's case. But part 4 really heightens that and underlines it with the bros, right? Like, Koichi clearly stands for the potential and growth of adolescence, and Okuyasu represents how you are who you hang out with in a very real way, and how important that is while growing up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
So I think that is why it connects so strongly with its, teenage boy, like, intended demographic.
This just reminds me of my girlfriend when she was still working at an escape room. A bunch of like teenage boys, like 14-year-olds, were just, while in the waiting room, just spouting JoJo memes, and she recognized all of them, and they have never been so ecstatic to see an adult recognize the JoJo memes and spout them back at them.
I have a similar story. When I went to the Subway just outside of my work on my lunch one time, as I'm placing my order, getting my sandwich made, I hear the 2 at the cashier having a heated discussion about something. And then I overhear one of them say, okay, so Joseph is the grandson of Jonathan.
Oh, man.
And by the end of it, they were just going, I don't know why people say you should skip part 1. And I just kind of leave going, yeah, no, I really don't get it either.
That's our demographic. We need more sandwich artists to listen to the show.
Oh, man.
Yeah, no, that does track with the idea of, like, adolescence as factor. Because each one is kind of, if not always a coming of age story, certainly always a growing up story. Like, this is someone who has room to grow as a person that completes their arc over the course of their journey.
After parts 1 and 2, like, the JoJos start to get younger, and once that happens, that's just kind of the age of all of the JoJos from there on out, I think. Because Jonathan is early 20s?
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to think of how old the protagonists of parts 7 and 8 are, but that seems right. Everyone around high school age.
Yeah, everyone's like 15 to 16.
Joseph is 19 during his adventure.
Right, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I'm checking now. Part 9, I got a sneak peek. Part 7 is also 19, so
Okay,
I'd imagine that part 8 is probably the same.
Yeah, well, I agree with that take. I think part 4 is the first one where the character truly does feel like an adolescent, like a teen. Like,
what is more relatable than not wanting to go into the store with your dad?
yeah. Oh man, my dad's gonna start talking to the cashier and being way too friendly, and he's gonna think the cashier is just a nice person, but actually they just have to be this way because they're getting paid to do this. Oh, I hate it.
Dad, you can't spend $1,300, please. You can't spend my $1,300.
One of every diaper, please.
No.
But yeah, we talked about it earlier, but part 4, the biggest departure, I think even more than staying in one spot, is how relatively non-violent it is. Like, the big stakes are school rumors going around and moms feeling bad.
Yeah, once you get past Angelo, really, the stakes suddenly lower a lot because there's no longer like, you know, FBI's most wanted style dude fucking walking around anymore. Like, there's a teenager shooting people with arrows, but it's so much lower scale than part 3 without feeling like...
It is really as much a character study of the characters themselves as it is a study of the city of Morioh. Like, we open on a shot of Morioh. We're traveling into the city. We're listening to the radio. We get to know its famous landmarks, its food, missing persons rate, and then...
At least 2 episodes somehow with big overhead maps of Morioh.
Exactly.
Yes.
It almost feels like the city is a character, much in the same way that the JoJos themselves and the crew themselves are.
Much in the same way that New York is sort of a character in this film. but yeah, Morioh's a weird place for weird people. And
one of the small bits that I really like about part 4 is just every once in a while, the crew accidentally makes a new urban legend via their stand fights or you know, makes weird landmarks like Angelo's rock and stuff, which again, why would you make out near a rock that looks like that? But it's just really cool going from mostly kind of like globe-trotting, or at least, you know, adventures that are going from one place to another, and then having one adventure that's just stuck in a single place.
Yeah.
I really feel like if part 4 were told the way part 3 was, we'd have a morgue shot with just rows and rows of corpses. Like when Keicho says he's killed countless people up to this point, we would see them.
Yeah, there'd be a lot more people exploding by this point.
But these are kids in school, so these subjects are kept at a respectable distance from...
Yeah, it's Nancy Drew. It's that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. There is the threat of danger, but never any, like, clear and present danger.
I mean, no dogs have been harmed since Morioh's only cop died.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
That one dog exploded, but it was a good explosion.
Yeah, that dog was supposed to explode.
It was all part of the healing process.
Oh, I was going to say I've held out long enough. I want to talk about Okuyasu Nijimura.
Absolutely.
Okay, yeah, let's
absolutely.
go for it.
I really, we knew that Okuyasu was going to be a part of the party from the moment that he kind of popped up in the intro. But I don't think I was quite prepared for just how much he immediately integrates himself into Josuke's life after getting the shit beaten out of him. Just immediately.
He will not take no for an answer. He's not aware there's even a question.
Yeah.
Okuyasu's great because he keeps saying he's dumb, but given the, like, frequent, like, out-of-the-box uses of his stand and the fact that he's figured out being able to use this vacuum effect, he's clearly not, but he does have some problems with that from years and years of his brother telling him that he is. So he's kind of bought into it and doesn't mind. And I think that's the part that really rules about Okuyasu, is that he's just embraced it wholeheartedly.
Yeah, like, he's not good at school. There's a lot of facts he does not know, but that doesn't mean he's as dumb as he says he is.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And the hand is just... I can't imagine that the hand was not born out of Araki killing off Vanilla Ice and then immediately going, wait, fuck, I had more I wanted to do with that idea.
Yeah, yep. I mean, even in the anime, he uses the same sound effect as Vanilla Ice's stand.
And what a sound effect it is.
Yeah, I love that sound.
We have not talked enough about the face of the hand. A fucking weird face that's still really cool.
Yeah, his little triangle mouth, really tiny.
I would like to see the hand try to talk.
It just makes the buzzing noise.
Yeah.
That's how that noise is made.
It would look like that one Achewood strip. Like, no, don't open your mouth. No.
Oh, no. Hey, come check out what happens when the hand talks. It's really fucked up.
Close that mouth, close it.
Like, the hand's head design and parts of it that are... I really forget how much of the hand is Punch Ghost because of how much the hand does not matter outside of its massive hand.
Yeah.
His head looks like the cap to a marker. It's ridged like that.
Yes,
I finally figured it out.
I was thinking the head of a tube of toothpaste, but yeah.
I've always had such a hard time trying to find words to describe succinctly what the hand's head is shaped like.
He's peeking out from a marker cap.
Yes.
You unscrew his head and then you spread the white out on the little brush.
The Hand is probably one of my favorite stands, which is pretty funny because in comparison to most other main cast members, The Hand does not do much.
No.
Just like, it doesn't show up in fights too often. But also, I guess that's more maybe because Part 4's fights are far less
Physical.
Yeah.
Yeah, more often the fights in Part 4 are a bomb to defuse as opposed to someone to defeat in active combat.
Yeah.
There's a situation that you have to figure out the rules to before you can immediately send it away.
Yeah.
It is interesting how, like, towards, the halfway point and beyond of Part 3, we were talking about how, the way stands have changed so much over that point, that the hero stands seem out of place and underpowered compared to what stands can be. And, like, yeah, the Hand especially, and even Crazy Diamond, seem very much like late Part 3 stands, and they might be just the same sort of fish out of water by the time we get to mid and late Part 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, I almost feel like as soon as Araki figures out that he wants them to have a power and to build their entire, like, moveset around that power, like a single concept, like bringing things back together or erasing things from existence, then the stand starts to more take form, as opposed to the very early, well, it has different types of attacks, and they're all very carefully named, because they're very cool, and they all have lots of heroic moves they can pull off.
I mean, that disappeared even in maybe like a quarter or halfway through Part 3, but yeah,
We got Crossfire, Hurricane, and nothing else.
Yeah, it's a lot different from the early days of Avdol, who had named attacks.
Avdol has fire? Question mark? Ability
Yeah.
to do things with fire. And, like, that could be cool. You could do things with it. They didn't. You could. The possibility was there.
Came up that really, 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 really late ability of the life-detecting flame compass. Okay.
Yeah, no, it can do that now. Don't worry about it.
Oh, shit, I'm dead now.
Whereas I feel like now that compass would be an entire stand. It would be
Yeah.
a very non-violent stand ability that someone just has.
Yeah, it's a compass that either detects life or maybe a compass that searches for whatever the user is thinking of or something like that. Yeah.
Maybe we would get a cat burglar or a search and rescue guy, or like anybody could have that stand and do some weird shit with it.
Yeah. I really like that Part 4, at least up to this part of Part 4, most of the stand users are just like, oops, a normal person got a hold of supernatural power and they're going a little crazy with it. And you just got to tell them to fucking knock that shit off, and then they're nice again. But I also like that there's a couple instances in Part 4 of just like people who don't even become corrupted by the power. And it's just like, well, what if a chef just had supernatural powers? What if...
Yes.
Because he's just a guy who got a stand naturally at some point. Or what if you were born with a stand? What the fuck is that like? And that's how you get a story like The Invisible Baby.
We left behind the evil baby, and now we just have an inconvenient baby, a mischievous baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've just got all of these, again, they're not enemy combatants. They're just people.
Yeah.
These are just folks who have gotten this power.
It's a pretty lucky coincidence that, Chili Pepper, of course, was named when the band first blew up, right? But the story is set when they came back to the top of the charts with Californication.
Oh, yeah.
What a weird, what a called shot that, yeah, Red Hot Chili Peppers are going to be huge in 1999. Damn, you did it.
That's a Rocky stand power, actually. Whatever band he writes about in his stories will become popular in the year that story is set.
God, can you imagine Araki just finding, like... The other thing that's kind of weird about future parts, without delving too far into it, is seeing names that I've known for longer. Like, as a child, Red Hot Chili Peppers were a thing while I was growing up, yes, but they were pretty always... Like, they were firmly a thing already when I was a kid. But you see names of, like, artists and bands who have come into being since then, and you're just like, oh, this is still being made. I recognize this in a way that I didn't before. It's weird. It kind of draws directly into the light how old JoJo's is, like, as a concept. It's been existing for like 40 years now?
Close to it.
Close
Yeah.
to it. Yeah, that's nuts. Like,
It's wild.
to be working on something like this for this long and still, I haven't seen the later parts, but still somehow keeping it fresh, it seems.
Yeah, it's definitely fresh.
Tonio demands it.
Of course. Going a little bit further in the timeline, passing the Nijimura brothers and going directly to Koichi. Mm-hmm. First off, I adore the Koichi pose he has in the intro for like 2 episodes before
yeah.
Echoes shows up. Where everybody else
I'm just
is
gonna
posing
stand
with their
like
stand.
this. Just like
And he's just
imagine there's something happening over here. I'm gonna do this thing.
I'm imagining that Koichi does that just because he sees all of his friends doing their cool, weird stand pose. And he's like, I don't know why they do that, but I think I'm going to do it too.
How does Okuyasu lean 30 degrees to the side like that? I don't get it. But you actually did hit the nail on the head back in the episode with mentioning that Koichi was Gohan. In that, I'm pretty sure Koichi is directly inspired from Gohan.
Yeah.
He was always my favorite.
Yes. One thing I don't hit as much, though, was that very directly as well, Echoes is a reference to Cell.
Oh.
Hatching from the egg, evolving through multiple forms.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Being pretty
Even-
green.
Yeah, green, got the tail, all
Stinger
that
on the
jazz.
tail. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
He's very much a Dragon Ball and then has an entirely different power set that works out really well. But Echoes is also just a really good example of like a really weird stand being given to our protagonist. Like, how do we use this? We have the power to make sound effects. What do I do? What do I do with that? You can punch things. I can't even do that.
I really love Echoes because Echoes to me really feels like I want to make a really weird stand that sounds like it has absolutely zero combat utility and then make it work anyways.
Yes. And then the combat utility comes later anyway.
He's got to grow up a bit. He's got a lot of learning to do, a lot of haircuts to try out. He's getting there.
It's fun to see new types of stands every once in a while. Like, oh, it's not just long range and short range. We got like this weird evolving one.
Yeah.
Just put a little Digimon or Pokemon in there. I love it.
I already miss Koichi's tousled hair. I do not like the inverse bowl cut.
I think he gets another haircut.
He fucking better.
I think he does get a final haircut, yeah. Yeah, I'm just pulling up an image of Koichi hairstyles now.
Imagine walking into the barber shop and saying, I want this.
I would like all 3 at the same time, please. Also, I appreciate that the anime made, is it Hazamada? No, that's Surface's user. Kobayashi, Tamami Kobayashi.
Yeah.
He is just a dude the first time he shows up in the manga.
Yeah, and then he
And
shrinks.
he shrinks over the course of the chapters. Which I can't decide if I like more or less than him being just a little guy and it is his birthday the entire time.
When Hazamada says that he only graduated 2 years ago, are we supposed to believe him? Because I don't.
I think we are. I think Tamami's supposed to actually be like 20. He looks like he's 35 and owns a car, but
This
like,
is a little
Looks
guy.
older than me.
Yeah, this guy's like 42, and he's just a little guy who's 42.
you wouldn't hit a little guy. It's his birthday.
His kid might have graduated 2 years ago.
I sent Grant, like, when we recorded the episode where Hazamada first shows up, like, hey, here's the very first panel he appears in the manga, and ooh, he's got a face in that panel. He's a weird-looking guy in that one.
It almost feels like that first appearance of Kobayashi is one of the holdouts of Part 3. Like, his appearance.
Yeah.
And then he gradually grows to the Part 4 art style and becomes just a little guy, and it's his birthday. You wouldn't hit a little guy on his birthday.
It's always fun looking at the very beginnings of the Part 4 manga because it's still so much still in the Part 3 style. So Josuke is huge. He's got those really harsh like cheek lines going down his face and stuff. And it wasn't until like 2/3 of the way through it before he became like an actual teenage boy.
Yeah. I do feel like he finally looks like a teen, as you said earlier, which...
I like to imagine because because of the change in the art style, Jotaro is also missing those cheek lines now. And I like to imagine he just got plastic surgery.
Yeah.
He got Botox and nobody noticed. It's not like he was smiling much anyway.
Yeah.
That continues forward. I think there's a picture of Jotaro that comes up in a later part, and I can't remember exactly when, but it's in that part's art style, and it is the most 18 Jotaro has ever been in the entire series. Like, this is not my boy. My boy deflated. What happened to him?
There is a delicate balance in a series like this, where like they're clearly trying to build up a community, like not just Morioh, the physical town, the geographic town, but the Morioh is its people, and our tiny little scam artist shows up as an informant, and I would appreciate more of that. Like so far, we've been very, very interested in examining our core cast and broadening the cast, finding new minor characters all the time. I'd like more of them to come back. I want to see Hazamada out of the hospital, just showing up, walking around, and like there are background cameos. That's nice, but I'd like, I don't know, a little more Simpsons Springfield kind of feel. Like these are people who exist in each other's lives and pop up every once in a while.
Yeah, they definitely do continue to pop up every once in a while, and I believe there's a few episodes where they're a little more featured and not just in the background. But one of my main thoughts of the whole part 4 has always been, man, all these people that they beat up who become their friends afterwards, I wish this series was twice as long so I could see more of those side characters, because I like a lot of them.
It just, by this point, it hasn't happened yet. Like,
yeah.
They're all still in recovery right now. They're in traction.
And everything to this point has been a single arc, more or less. They've been finding the bow and arrow.
And also, so many of the episodes have clues that they are following immediately after, like, the next day, after the previous one. Like, I get it. Okay.
I can't stop thinking about Morioh as Anime Springfield now.
It absolutely is.
Where's Morioh's burning tire pile?
Where would Morioh's burning tire pile be?
It's probably marked on that map. There's a lot of little points of interest, but no like legend visible. I wanna find out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm just imagining the burning tire pile would be new urban legend or location that is created via a stand fight in a later part of this series.
But seriously, it's the tiny little town where everybody knows each other, but it has literally everything a city could have.
Yes.
I am never going to get over the international shipping port.
Yeah. Why does Morioh have that?
It's very important that a town has active commerce, and Morioh is nothing if not a center for active commerce.
I guess this is made before, like, everything had to be Panamax-sized shipping for economies of scale, I guess? But whatever.
Those shots that you see in a couple episodes ago, where you actually see like the port and how fucking massive it looks, makes me feel that port employs like 50% of the workforce of Morioh. Like that's why you go to live there, so that you work for the port.
That's why we never see Koichi's dad. He's always like he's management clearly, but he's always down there.
Yeah.
Speaking of boats and the people that ride them, Joseph is barely in it, so far, but his presence is so often felt. And I really enjoy how much character is revealed in how people treat him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
In the last episode we talked about, I think it says so much that, Jotaro will protect this boat from Chili Pepper with his life, but he will not go in that room. He will not actually be face to face with Grandpa.
Yep.
It's also a little bit sad to see Joseph kind of naturally coming to the end of his life. Like, he stopped practicing Hamon, and he's getting old.
Yeah.
For people who have been with him since he was 19 and going on adventures and beating up pillar men, this is a character we've grown to know literally over his entire lifetime. And now you just kind of see him in a more vulnerable position, and that stings. But also, that just makes it all the more heartwarming that the crew is here for him. Like, the moment he needs help, it is immediately, you've got 5 people who are ride or die who will fight Lightning Man for you.
But they're not gonna like it, damn it.
They won't like it.
You cheated on Grandma, fuck you. You made Grandma sad, god damn it.
Damn it. I'm just sad that we also don't get to see, but I just want to see Suzy Q one more time.
With her divorce attorney? Yeah.
Yeah, she's
her divorce attorney is the turtle, by the way. That's why she has the turtle.
Oh,
Of
man.
course.
The fucking turtle.
That turtle has a lot of important contacts. We've got immediately, obviously, Suzy Q. We've got Coco Jumbo. We've got... No, it's actually just those two, now that I'm listing it out. But they are very big.
Yeah. Suzy Q could get remarried to Roses. Is he still around?
I mean, he's a lot younger than her, so I'm sure he's around.
Yeah.
Roses feels too respectful to do that. I
No,
don't
yeah,
think,
actually,
I don't
yeah.
think he'd make a move.
You're right.
But he's definitely around because he will never retire. He's there until the day he drops dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like Roses would help her get back into the dating scene if she wanted it, though.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he'd be the matchmaker.
Roses is setting up her online dating profile, weeping and sweating the whole time.
He's so loyal that I think if Suzy Q forbade him from dying, he just wouldn't.
Somebody ghosts Suzy Q and he tracks him down and kicks his teeth out.
I'd never thought that much about Roses until we got there again. At which point, yeah, all right, now I'm thinking about Roses. He's a good boy. All right.
He's a good boy, but there's a sadness to him.
Yeah.
He's never gonna be able to quite live out his own life because he's too loyal to to Suzy Q and the Joestars.
But isn't that true of every Speedwagon employee?
I guess so, yeah.
Can you imagine orientation day at Speedwagon HQ? Just all right, so welcome to the crew. We do a lot of work. We do some public outreach. You're going to be a part of that sometimes. We do a lot of just international support. But it's all for one family.
Yep. So there's got to be an orientation video that you watch, right? And it's just about the inception of the Speedwagon Foundation, and it's like a dramatic reenactment of the founding member, Speedwagon himself.
Oh my God.
And it's just constant shots of some actor portraying Speedwagon just crying over the horrible burden the Joestars have to bear.
Born in an orphanage in 1854, he never had parents. No one knows how exactly he was born.
Oh my God. I want this to be real now. Holy shit.
Speedwagon's birth was notable for both of his parents being absent.
They eventually get to the part where they have to explain what stands are, and they, as non-stand users, it's a video reenactment where there's just a guy painted purple in a loincloth.
Oh my God.
They're just acting out the JoJo Part 3 stage play.
Yeah. Okay, so the Speedwagon HQ has to have a very small museum dedicated to its history somewhere, which also contains a glass display case that has Speedwagon/Zeppeli's hat and a sledgehammer, right? And the knife hat.
Absolutely.
And the knife
it's
hat.
kept in the lobby.
Yeah.
The Speedwagon Foundation protects the world, and it protects itself. That's why some of you are going to be killing vampires, and the rest of you are going to be suppressing the scientific literature that says global warming exists. Okay? Don't forget this all comes from oil wealth.
We all need to focus on what's important, and that is making sure gas prices don't go down. Listen, we have a foothold in the Middle East somewhere, maybe at this point.
God damn it. Oh, man.
Did the Speedwagon Foundation install the Shah of Iran? This is what I need to know. I don't trust him. I don't trust this organization.
Now that's a JoJo side story I want to see.
Holy shit.
Oh my God.
The Speedwagon Foundation is such a good, concept for... Yeah, don't worry, they have infinite money and infinite resources and can go anywhere and do anything, but the moment that you start to pick at the threads, it immediately immediately just keeps going.
Yeah. I love that the Speedwagon Foundation is never explored in any more depth after,
Never.
like, part 2.
As soon as you start asking questions, they lead to bad answers.
But this does also mean that the hero side gets to have jobbers who aren't the main cast.
Oh, yeah, they got, oh boy. There's a reason the top thing in their open enrollment isn't health insurance, it's life insurance.
What's the most common way of death for Speedwagon Foundation members? Is it just decapitation? I think just because Dio cut off a fair amount of heads.
Dio cut off a fair amount of heads, and Duel cut off a couple of heads.
Yeah.
And Duel pulled that one guy into a canteen, which I think has to count for double.
Yeah, he ripped his face off.
Yeah. Probably beheading?
A lot of head and face trauma.
Dismemberment, perhaps.
Yeah.
And now we just get one Speedwagon employee who gets to come to town and be like, hey, I got the deets.
Yeah.
How much you want to know? And Jotaro's just like, I thought we were talking about going for lunch. I didn't realize this was a spy meeting. I would have dressed differently. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I would have dressed in my other white coat.
I also do really like that Jotaro has loosened up in this part.
Yeah.
Now that I'm thinking about it. In part 3, one of the most popular interpretations that I've seen is that he is kind of a dork. He watches Columbo. He's never played a video game. He studies hard, but he's trying to act very cool for high school.
Yeah.
He's trying to act like that tough guy facade, but he doesn't have any one-liners. He asks Abdal to come up with them for him. And here you just kind of see him putting that aside and growing up into a marine biologist.
Yes.
Which, if
a fish looker.
A fish looker.
There's some point back in the part 3 anime where Jotaro is reading a magazine and it's like a marine life magazine.
It's in the barbershop during Anubis.
Oh, yeah.
The magazine that is advertised in Times Square in the Iggy flashback.
Yes.
This is a whole world of marine biologists.
He could be anything, and marine biology is a very competitive profession here. There's a lot in that ocean.
It's a big ocean. There's a lot of fish in it.
I like that. I don't know how word got out about the world. I have no idea how people know what the world, Star Platinum, the world can do. But
Yeah.
It's on the forums. It's on the stand user forums. They gossip.
that it is taken as fact that, if you approach him without a plan, it's over. He is just an existing hazard within the city of Morioh for any enemy stand user.
Yeah.
This is our first JoJo set in the future of its original writing, right? This is technically a science fiction story by some definitions, but I think that time skip is clearly to do that for Jotaro, right? To make him an adult with a career and this new perspective. And how much time would that take? Let's say 10, 11 years, right?
Yeah.
But it also means Araki has to imagine what teens raised during the bubble crash will be like.
Yeah.
And it turns out they're frustrated, violent weirdos.
Nailed it. Got it in one.
And it's clearly something on his mind when writing. Just look at, Keicho's backstory, right? That's not coming out of nowhere.
Yeah. No, it's definitely present, and the entire idea is that they have been raised during it, but they don't really have to deal with it, so to speak. They are still relatively carefree, but they're carefree in a world that is different, that changed in a way they did not perceive the change due to their age, right? Yes.
It is the generational fear. As crisis after crisis happens, people are like, is this why kids terrify me? Is it because they were in school during the 08 slump or 9/11 or COVID, or every sub-generation is like, this is why they're fucking weird.
I don't know what the youths are up to, but
I definitely wasn't weird when I was a kid. I was not weird to adults back then, no sir.
We were normal children who went outside and played with sticks.
There's a similar thing in the HBO series The Leftovers, which its first episode has a scene where the high school characters in the show who were middle school during this world-defining unsolved mystery tragedy, right? Their party games involve an app that tells you to give yourself severe burns and just do hand jobs, and that's what high school is like now. It's a good show. I like it a lot.
I've never even heard of it, but now I kind of have to Google it just to find out what is going on here. Later. But yeah, they're kids. They do normal things. They go around. They have fun. They get threatened by a puppet. They fall in love. They get kidnapped to the Cape. All normal kid things.
They construct electric chairs to as flashcards for studying.
Get a feeling so complicated. Oh my god. That entire set of episodes really does cement. Before that, we haven't really seen them interacting as a group of three. Like, at that point, Okuyasu's integrated himself into the group, and Koichi has done so by way of the first episode, but this is the first we really see him just kind of fucking around. And
yeah. Like, the conversation by the pool. Amazing.
Yes.
Top tier.
Yeah.
Just, all right, you're going to have to become the nastiest man.
And then visibly getting very excited about the way to go about getting Koichi to be real nasty. God damn, that's so funny.
I still have friends who quote, I feel you. I feel you deeply. Your feelings, I feel deeply. Like, just at least once every couple weeks. That entire translation, though, again, I would not recommend looking it up in full yet, due to later parts being fairly important for it. It has really influenced a lot of culture around JoJo.
Yep.
Like, just around the fan groups.
We're what? We're like 70, nearly 80 episodes deep, and that is my favorite single one, actually.
Yeah.
Yukako Falls in Love Part 1, absolutely.
Yeah. Or just, they see Koichi at a restaurant and immediately just, we gotta find out what's going on here.
Yeah.
Koichi's at a restaurant with a girl, let's check it out, let's spy.
Yeah, they're like, while Okuyasu is very clearly jealous and breaking into tears because a girl's never talked to him or whatever, there's still both between Okuyasu and Josuke, there is like a hell yeah, get it, dude! like fucking camaraderie there that I love so much. Rooting for this little guy, it rules.
Yeah, they're really supportive and good friends.
Yeah.
They want the best for each other, and sometimes that means you have to tell your friend to stop showering.
Like in our last guest episode, the end of part 3, when Voidberger came on, I joked that part 4 might just be high school slice of life with stands, and it kind of is.
Yeah.
You have actually made a couple of calls over the course of this show that have proven true so far.
Like, we talked about it a lot in our first Part 4 episode, but it's clearly setting up a procedural, supernatural cops, but not technically cops show, right? And I'm expecting that we will swerve back to that as things go on, especially with Mysterious Hand Guy. But for now, it's not. It sets that up and then swerves away from it.
And I feel like Akira just kind of leaving the scene with the arrow for as long as he does, it more or less does that. He removes the focus of the story for a couple episodes to give the characters themselves time to breathe before returning to the chase.
Yeah. Looking through this first chunk of part 4, I was trying to think of like, okay, what is my favorite part here? And while I really gotta say, let's go eat some Italian food is pretty good, it's that 2-parter with Yukako that I like the most, I think.
Yeah.
There's just something about it's pretty good. I think partially because Yukako is such a fun character because she is from a completely different genre.
Yes, she just a shoujo character just invaded into this shonen series.
Yeah.
Her presence creates a really cool contrast with the rest of the crew as a result. Just like, she's doing things that, the boys aren't really focused on romance too much, except for Okuyasu, who thinks of it openly and weeps. But
Who among us, really?
She is very... She really is focused on, like, she has a crush on Koichi, and she's going to act on it. This is going to become the focus of her romance. And while that romance is in and of itself, a bit much, we'll say, it is still, like, the idea of just, like, a very obsessive high school love, though.
I mean, I remember the first time Elena tried to force feed me dictionary pages wrapped around asparagus. And that's when I knew I was going to marry that girl.
Yeah, it's a landmark for any relationship.
Oh, man.
While I have rolled over to it, I do also want to mention the entire Part 4 dub with, like, one notable exception that hasn't shown up yet, is absolutely fantastic.
Oh yeah, it's really good.
All of the actors fucking kill it. I remember seeing clips specifically of Let's Go Eat Italian Food that prompted me to go listen to more of the dub. And it's all so good.
Okuyasu
they
is
really
really
nail
good.
their characters.
Yeah, I was going to say I agree, but Okuyasu is just an absolute stellar highlight.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Especially when he's screaming with his mouth full of food. Like, goddamn.
No, this is my pasta primavera. You can't have any. Just very... I think, though, my favorite line of the episode does go to Josuke. As they're in the kitchen, and Okuyasu has picked up the dinner, just for the love of God, drop the meat! Just super panicked and incredibly, forceful, but just... This is what Part 4 lets you do. Part 4 gives you this energy to carry forward. It has me really excited for possible dubs of future seasons. I just want to see what they do with it. I want to see where they go.
I know that there is already, I believe, a full English dub for Part 5 done, because it already finished airing on Adult Swim, but I have not heard it at all yet, but I'm very curious what that sounds like.
I haven't seen as much of the Part 5 dub. What I've seen does really kind of do it justice.
Okay, cool.
I'm trying to think of one character in particular who is very yelly. And it's a personal favorite of mine.
Yeah, I know who you mean.
Yeah, because if they nailed that rant in English, oh god, yeah, okay, you really nailed it. Okay, yeah, the Part 4 dub is good, or Part 5 dub is good.
Yeah, because I kind of jumped back and forth between the English and Japanese dub for the first 3 parts, and I thought the English dub was pretty decent for the first 3, but there were some voices that took me a while to get used to for Part 3.
It was a bit, yeah.
It was mainly like Avdol's voice, where I was just like, I don't know if this is what I envisioned Avdol to sound like, but after a while I got used to it. It was like, yeah, it's Avdol.
You grow into hearing them as the character after a while. I don't feel like the later parts needed as much adjustment period, because the direction, at the very least, for the first couple of parts felt a little stilted.
Yeah.
But it has come to feel much more natural over time.
And they stopped being English. That helps.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. The English accents are really hard to listen to for me personally.
Man, Johnny Young Bosch's accent that he does for Jonathan is very funny to me.
Y'all know there are people in England that can do that job, right? You do know that, right?
As much as I love Johnny Young Bosch, I'm sorry, this doesn't work for me.
I named one of my all-time classic 6 Feet Under characters after him. And come on. His name was Johnny Young Bots. He was a professional wrestler with a cyborg gimmick.
Nice.
Go listen to our Worldwide Wrestling episodes. They're very good.
God, I'll have to.
God, when Joseph does come back in, the weight of history that is just bearing down on you, and also Joseph with those slumped shoulders, man. The worst part of it is we've seen him be a dad before. Early Part 3, we know that he wants nothing more than to be doting and smothering and affectionate, but it's not the right move, and he's wise enough to know it, but you can feel that pull inside his heart.
He wants to so bad. He just wants to give him a hug.
Change his underwear, and okay, that bit in Part 3 was a little weird. But
Make some delicious banana porridge or whatever.
Yep. Yeah. I appreciate that it takes a little while before Joseph is brought up from the very beginning of Part 4, but it takes a while before he actually comes physically into the story. And I like that because it makes you wonder. It's just okay, well, Joseph's still around, but he's old and not relevant anymore. And then when he does come back and he's still kind of old and not relevant anymore, but he's still here. And I don't know, the amount of time that you spent with Joseph up to this point already, I don't know, the impact of that for me is pretty heavy.
And the story really needs time to grow and develop and build a foundation without him. The same way that Jotaro spends so much time just taking phone calls in his hotel room. You need to set them aside and let the new kid go.
Yeah.
Yeah, their adventuring days are, while not necessarily over, not as active in their parts anymore.
Yeah.
And I think this is most keenly felt with Joseph, because when I can't speak for you two, obviously, but when I was watching part 4 the first time, they mentioned that Joseph was coming. I was expecting him to, like, have maybe lost a bit of muscle tone. Like, he was not going to be some behemoth anymore. But he was still going to be, like, it was still going to be Joseph. And while it is still Joseph, it does require his moments of lucidity to really see more of him. Just having, you know, him hard of hearing and using the cane and dressed up warm in summer. It's just like, yeah, no, I've met this person, but I don't know if that person is the Joseph I know from the previous parts. But it is, like, the story makes it pretty clear that he's still got it. I've read theories of people saying, like, I'll bet that Joseph's just pretending to have dementia so that he throws off enemy stand users and they don't think he's a threat. And I'm just like, I don't agree.
Yeah.
I really feel like this is very much played straight, and he will have his lucid moments and moments where he is very much like exactly the same 19-year-old we once knew. But
it's a theory that is entirely believable, but a much worse story.
Yes.
Right? Like,
his time has passed.
Yeah.
He's here, but it's not his tale to tell.
Have you met anyone that's 79? That is the question I would pose.
Exactly. I do like having 3 generations of Joestar in the same town at the same time, though. It feels like a singularity is going to happen, but there are too many star birthmarks here. We need to stop.
It's cool to be able to see that protagonists from previous parts are still here, but they have managed to transition to supporting roles very well while still feeling like they're the same people from the previous parts. You know, because I feel like there's probably a decent amount of protagonists where if you try to turn them into supporting roles for a new protagonist, it might feel weird or like they're a different person now.
Or like it's still their show.
Yeah.
Perhaps, like, most dangerously. Introducing a previous character that the audience is very attached to and that you as a writer are very attached to runs the risk of trying to put them in more of the story than they perhaps need to be.
Yeah. But like so far, and if I remember correctly from the last time I watched part 4, that it does a very good job of, like, especially with Jotaro, who feels like, okay, this is like the most iconic JoJo. Everyone knows him. He's the strongest dude in the fucking universe. You know, he could just walk into every fight and just end this in 3 seconds if you wanted to rate it that way. But, you know, he doesn't. He is very much just like he's no longer on active duty and he just does desk work now.
Yeah.
Which also brings in a trope that I really like in stories when it's done well, which is, hey, here's a guy who's past his prime, but maybe 1 or 2 times he comes back out full force like they used to in an earlier show or something, and it kicks ass.
Yeah.
Yes.
Fucking
Comes out in the clutch.
yeah, old Bruce Wayne coming in the mech Batman suit and Batman Beyond, shit like that.
Yeah. Okay. The original Flash coming back in the new Flash TV show as the original Flash.
Yeah.
And getting that
Jay
moment.
Garrick.
Yeah. Oh, I was thinking of the actor.
Oh. Well, I'm
I think
always thinking of Golden Age Flash, Jay Garrick.
John Wesley Shipp. But yeah, I do like that he may be doing desk work, but he's still Jotaro Kujo. He's still there. And he is still, like, an omnipresent threat in enemies' minds, if nothing else.
Yeah.
There is always the threat of an existing JoJo. I do have to wonder what's going to be happening with the Whole Horse manga.
Yeah.
I can't figure it out. I have been trying.
Yeah. Whole Horse and Josuke is a very weird combination, and I don't know how that will work.
What are they going to do and why?
Why are they fighting? Are they fighting? Are they working together?
Yeah, I kept thinking that they get into some weird situation where they have to work together, and it's just like, how does that happen? What are they doing?
One of them is literally a hired gun.
Yeah.
And the other is the compassionate JoJo. What do they even have to talk about?
Yeah.
I can only imagine that it is going to have to be a case of mistaken identity. Whole Horse thinks that Josuke is or is related to his target.
Okay.
And so Josuke has to fight off this supernatural assassin, and we finally get to see Whole Horse do anything as first Banana.
Who knows? Maybe he'll bring back Boingo again.
Yeah, I could definitely see that set up because after that meeting, then Whole Horse has to keep hunting who he was actually hunting. And then Josuke's like, well, somebody wants to pretend to be me.
It's Okuyasu's dad. It has to be, right?
Ooh.
He's hunting down someone who used to work for Dio.
All right.
I mean, he won't be able to do anything to him, but
Yeah.
it's a protect the president mission, but the president is functionally invulnerable.
Did I ever tell you about the time your nephew fucked me up real bad?
He didn't even do anything. I fucked myself up. I shot myself in the dang
I
face.
stuck my fingers up his friend's nose, and then a car came around. Then I shot into a pipe, and there was all this change on the ground, and they were gonna drink the tea, but they didn't.
Fucking hell.
And Josuke, as a JoJo protagonist, would be like, yes, this makes perfect sense. I understand it. I feel your feelings deeply.
I want to imagine that, 10 years in the future, Whole Horse is very scarred by the random series of events that kept happening to him and owning him. And so he's like, he's either like really superstitious now or something like that because he's just afraid of random dominoes falling and killing him.
He'll probably refuse to work with Thoth. Like, as much as I would like to see Boingo's Thoth?
Boingo, yeah.
I feel like he would fear this book after it sent him to Turbo Hell like 4 times.
Now that you mention it, that is a plot, like going back to one of my slight criticisms earlier, that I would like to see. I'd like to see some progress, or at least a mention of Papa Nijimura sooner rather than later, right?
Yeah. There's a little bit with him, but...
The Papa Nijimura has gotten more character advancement in that he is not a mindless beast. He is still there, with regards to, like, he recognizes his boys and is kind of longing for the days they once had, even if he perhaps remembers those days more fondly than they actually deserve to be.
Yeah, and there was a pledge to, like, do something to help him out, and that was, 10 episodes ago? Like, come on, TikTok, come on.
Yeah. But there's just nothing. They're still hunting stand users. Maybe someone will come along that can heal him, but for the moment, they're just sitting here like, well, Crazy Diamond didn't work. The hand didn't work.
Hey, Slug Dad, here's a Caesar salad. Let's go. Let's see if this does anything.
I am going to treat you to the finest fish you've ever eaten in your life, and we're going to see if this works for you.
Okay, so if Papa Nijimura here were to eat Tonio's food, because his whole being is all fucked up, would he just explode? Like, even more than the dog did. Like, he would just, like, disintegrate or just violently explode into individual atoms.
Either that, or because his whole deal is, like, he's perfectly, self-healing and self-replicating. Like, there's nothing Tonio can do.
Yeah.
There's nothing technically wrong with him.
Yeah.
But either way, I want to see Tonio take his hand, look down at his palm and say,
What's going on here?
Flesh bud, huh? All right. I got just the thing for you. Hold on. Why wouldn't Whole Horse have a flesh bud?
Money, ka-ching, baby.
Ah, right. He was paid.
Yep.
I can't imagine that Dio would trust contractors that way, but I guess he does have a respect for the work. Yeah, you have my money. You're not about to kill me. Oh, he does respect his resolve. That's right.
Yeah.
That checks out. As much as Akira only shows up in 2 episodes, I really think he's a fun antagonist. Like, he is very obviously a threat. He wants to kill Joseph Joestar. He wants to keep using the arrow.
And is more than capable of doing so. Like,
yes.
He's a dangerous guy.
Yeah.
Incredibly so. But he's a high school kid who really wants to be a rock star.
Yeah.
Who has a cool scar over his eye and a cool guitar. And he's doing all sorts
that
of
thing
poses.
on. That's not a real scar.
He feels kind of similar to Okuyasu in that, like, man, if he applied himself differently, he would probably be way more dangerous than he is right now.
Yes.
Like, it feels like he's not quite matching the deadliness of his actual stand.
Well, I do feel like that's almost the balancing factor for a lot of the most powerful stands is they have to have a user who has a flaw. It's almost like they have gotten this extra buff to their abilities at the cost of, actual character traits that would help them out in life. Like, Okuyasu is...
His flaw was expecting a tire to behave like a tire and not a balloon.
Yeah.
By all rights, come on. That's not that big a flaw.
Yeah, it's a very high pressure tire. It's important for cargo work. We need to be able to, it lets us bounce higher. I really do like The Hand being one of the most dangerous stands we've ever seen in the world, given to perhaps one of the most good-natured people we've seen in this show.
Like The Hand is a one-hit kill.
Yes.
But
it is never used to kill, except for the one time that he tried, and God, as short as it is, I love The Hand versus Red Hot Chili Pepper, because it really shows Okuyasu at his best.
Yeah,
like, this is someone who has a mastery of his abilities and is ready to throw down. And also, I'm pretty sure it is one of the few times that we hear The Hand's theme, like that guitar in the background, and it's so good.
I mean, it is a fight that is, like, in its tactical sense, it is very exciting with turnabouts, but the way that all of that is informed by Okuyasu's character and his competing goals of, wanting to do the right thing about, the ongoing investigation, but his drive for vengeance and also his vulnerability to logic traps all competing in his mind.
Yes, he is a boy who trusts his gut above all else, and unfortunately his gut has been presented with two options. One of these always tells the truth, and the other always lies, and one of them is above power lines. Choose wisely.
I like how up to, the episode 13, you basically start off with some character stuff for Josuke, and then you get a little bit of Okuyasu when he's introduced, and then it kind of hangs over to a little bit more Josuke and then a lot of Koichi in the middle, and then you get back to more Josuke and Okuyasu at the end. It's paced a little weird, but I feel like between these three main characters, they all get a fairly even amount of like growth and a look at their characters.
Yeah.
Especially when compared to something like Stardust Crusaders, where it's very heavily weighed on Polnareff.
Yes. Stardust Crusaders also had six
technically
people.
With Iggy.
Do you count the dog? Yeah.
Yes, I count
Dio
Iggy.
doesn't.
Of course. No.
And that's why he's dead.
Boy.
Fuck him.
But it has 6 storylines to kind of try to work together, and it ended up being a crowded room. Like, they all work very well together. It is a boys' road trip, and it does, like, feel that way. But not all of them get time to breathe. Avdol especially, like, just kind of acts as a character who supports for others. Whether it's through, like, Polnareff's growth or, like, through bringing Iggy to the story, helping Jotaro find out what a stand is, that sort of thing. Acting as a catalyst through death to spur other people to action twice.
Yeah.
He's all about the assists, yeah.
Morioh has a collection of these supporting characters who are more explicitly supporting characters, and then you have your main cast of the boys plus Jotaro.
Yeah.
And we've already explored Jotaro. Jotaro's already, he's an established character. He's good. We've put enough experience in him. Let's set him aside. Let us just look at these 3.
The show's real interest in Jotaro, at least for now, is how is he different than when you last saw him 11 years ago?
Yes. It's happened so far in each part, but also going forward, it continues to happen. There is a real, like, a sense of almost a legacy character at the beginning of or continuing through each part, who serves to tie the story to the previous one. So it's not just, here is a new JoJo. Like, from part 1 to part 2, you had Speedwagon and Granny Arena and the boy, I can't, Straits. And from 2 to 3, you have, like, Joseph himself, who is back. And now Jotaro's taking up that mantle. It's just, it's a good habit to get into, because it does let us get attached to these new characters through their interactions with the old.
I mean, there's also Josuke's friend from out of town, Joda Kujo, and his stand, Charmy Green.
God damn. Oh, man.
It's canon, baby.
It's canonical.
It's canon now. Araki said it's canon.
I'm just waiting for the day that whole thing somehow gets fully animated.
It'll be a fan work, and it will be it'll be like they retreated into a dwarf fortress hole and came out 20 years later with a masterwork.
Yeah,
and that's how we achieve world peace.
They'll somehow manage to rope in all the actual voice actors.
Yes.
In all of the languages. It'll be like that bit from like the Les Miserables 10th anniversary concert where all the Jean Valjeans have joined together.
Oh, man.
Including the guy from Iron Chef. Hell yes.
The what?
The chairman from Iron Chef.
Japan. Oh, okay. I thought like they had like Jean Valjean as like a competitor on Iron Chef. I didn't put together for a moment. Of course,
but the guy that plays the chairman in Iron Chef is also a musical theater actor, and he was Japan's Jean Valjean.
Oh God, okay, that makes way more sense than like the Les Miserables episode of Iron Chef I was envisioning.
The secret ingredient is a loaf of bread.
You can only take it when the judges aren't looking.
I do love how in some songs it's a loaf of bread, in other songs it's a mouthful of bread, implying that Jean Valjean eats loaves of bread whole like a snake.
Unhinging his jaw, yeah.
You'll never get this sort of service in Morioh. Oh. Actually, you know what? I'll bet Tonio could help you unhinge your jaw if you really wanted to get a whole loaf of bread in there.
It's what happens if you've got like a broken jaw or lockjaw or something. Your whole jaw unhinges and maybe even falls off, and then you just grow a whole new lower jaw.
I have to ask, would the two of you undergo an hour of body horror for perfect health?
You know, maybe.
If I were to go, I could only go alone.
Okay.
I could not be seen going through that with anyone.
I agree.
By anyone who I care about.
That's fair.
Yeah,
that's fair.
I don't think I want anyone I love to, or anyone really, to see like all my skin peel off or my skeleton shoot out through my mouth or whatever would happen.
They'll have a story to tell, though. I'm never...
Yeah.
So how did you manage to get rid of, like, that ache in your shoulder? You're never gonna believe it. Arm fell off.
Look at my brand new arm. Feel my soft arm. Smell it. Smell my arm. It smells like a baby.
Well, here's the problem now. Now I have one arm that's baby
It's got
smooth.
that new arm smell.
Yeah, now I've got one arm that's baby smooth and one arm that's just normal, and now I need my other arm exploded. So I got to go back tomorrow.
I guess I could just fuck up the new arm. Either way, they've got a match.
Yeah.
Were you aware that Tonio actually makes an appearance in supplementary material for a later part? In mention?
Really?
Tonio's actually mentioned in supplementary material for part 5 as being part of a family that he has left.
Yeah, that's right.
He is the heir apparent who has given it all up for food to live in the small town of Morioh.
Yep.
And to travel the world. And I was just like...
Living the dream.
Yeah. I respect Tonio for giving it all up. I don't actually know if that's canon.
Just a food pilgrim traveling the world. I imagine he does it all on foot somehow. I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, of course. Well, he's always in perfect health. He can eat his own food.
Yeah.
Who can you cook for if not yourself?
Every once in a while when like a later part of JoJo brings up a very minor character again, like either it through background world details or whatever, that just makes me wonder, what's Smokey Brown up to during part 4?
What is Smokey Brown up to during any of the later parts?
Is he running for president now?
Is he just reelected over and over? Is he a long-serving New York mayor?
For his sake, perhaps it's best that he just enjoy retirement.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2001 is coming in the JoJo timeline. Maybe you leave this one to somebody else.
Yeah. When Smokey Brown writes his memoirs, does he leave out the Pillar Men?
I think he makes aside references to an adventure from his youth in which he met many great people, but I don't think the editor would allow it.
Because I think it's a very formative part of his life.
Like, he makes oblique references to, certain troubles in Europe during those years, and most people read it one way, but people in the know.
The part about snapping a cop's finger with a bottle cap, though, left in its entirety.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he does not get the FOP endorsement when he runs for mayor.
I didn't have much appreciation for Smokey Brown until I re-listened to the podcast and realized how much he's actually in part 2. Because when I think back on part 2, I think of watching it, like, sideboarding it as I was doing other things a lot of the time. So I was very focused on, like, the main cast, what's going on with them. And then on a rewatch, you get to see so many good things, like Smokey, leg guitar, third thing here.
Smokey reading the news while Joseph reads the lingerie advertisements.
Yeah.
Top tier moment.
I feel we really have to have more of those moments for our current boys as well. We have to have them just doing shit in the background, and I feel like part 4 wants to be that. It wants to bring those moments to the foreground even.
I really want to see all 3 of them playing Definitely Not Mario Party on Josuke's N64.
I was going to say that Okuyasu would just, be reading the comics page of the newspaper, but I think he'd like look at Garfield and say, I don't get it. I don't understand.
Yeah.
Oi, Josuke! What's supposed to be so funny about this cat? He's just lazy. He's not doing anything. How am I supposed to laugh at that?
Why do the cows use the tools? What do they use the tools for, Josuke?
Yeah, that's... Even in the world of JoJo, that Far Side strip is the most baffling thing in the world to everyone.
People, Josuke writing into the paper, what are cow tools? I have to know.
I think the only person who feels like they understand what cow tools is Joseph. He would act like he knows.
I think Koichi's onto him, though. I really do love part 4 so much.
Yeah.
I feel like the transition to just a lower stakes game was exactly what JoJo needed to kind of get not even back in its groove, but to continue on a groove that it could continue on with, because it could not continue escalation.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, much like, parts 1 and 2 needed stands, needed a shake up in focus to continue. I think, once you kill Dio dead, you need to have another shake up, find a new groove to lie in.
There was actually a game of it. There have been several games of JoJo, but there is one that explores like a full story mode that does contain spoilers for everything up through part 8 even.
Yeah.
Goodness.
So fair warning. I think it's All-Star Eyes of Heaven is the one I'm thinking of, which actually does like have these moments of like play between all of the people from different generations. Like they've got different supers depending on who you're fighting with, because of course it's an arena fighting game and things like that. It's very cute. I love it for how it tries to characterize the characters and how it brings their most famous moments kind of to life. The gameplay doesn't quite land for me personally, but the story itself that they decided to go with is, what if Dio had gotten even more power? And it is a kind of escalation of power that is difficult to resolve and does end on the same bridge with the same like fight with Star Platinum, essentially. The end point for an escalation is always where it has already ended up. Because the exact, like the power escalation aside, the story still has to tell itself. It still has to kind of end up that way. And so I don't really feel like power escalation's the proper way to go for this series, even though some of the later like stands do get absolutely ridiculous. Like, you get into parts 7 and 8, and some of the abilities that they have are starting to really get out there. But even, like, none of them... Like, if you were to have the world fight something from a later part, it would still probably hold its own.
Yeah.
There's a level of, like, power cap that is almost established. And I think a lot of that is also in part due to how part 4 establishes rules for stands more than it has before. Like, we've sort of seen it with like the mention of part 3, like long range, short range.
Yeah, the power range trade-off that is so important to both the sun and the lovers.
Yeah, and now they start to play with that a little bit. Red Hot Chili Pepper, for example, is weak but exists in numbers, or Worst Company.
Yeah, yeah.
Which is just a good ass name
Company,
for it.
I think, is the official name for in much the same way that Dan of Steel
yes.
has supplanted the original name for our purposes.
Yeah.
There is one coming up in part 6 that I will not mention for the time being, but its English name is perhaps my favorite translation in the entire series.
Oh, I think I know which one you're talking about, yeah.
Yeah. It's very, very much like the translator just went fuck it and went to lunch.
Yep.
But like in a way that has left something for the ages. But Worst Company establishing that a stand that is many things will not cause significant harm to the user if one or two of them are damaged.
Yeah.
It is a way of kind of bypassing that rule about like stands reflecting damage. So swarm type stands like Worst Company or Chili Pepper end up being more dangerous simply because they're harder to get rid of. There is no way to handle all of them neatly. I think it's in the establishment of these kind of like alternate rules, like besides just the power range trade-off, that really allow the stands to kind of continue on like almost a power-based system that exists for future parts that really works. Because it's just, you can retroactively apply it to what we've already seen, and it still works. It was just not explored to its fullest.
That's why fucking up the fool doesn't hurt Iggy too much.
Exactly. Yeah. It's sand. It's grains of sand.
Of sand, yeah.
And it's also why I think Akira's Red Hot Chili Pepper getting basically cut completely in half doesn't cause him to immediately also get cut in half. Because he's electricity, and he just gets more electricity, and then his bottom half is back again. So, like, yeah.
It works. It's a good kind of workaround for the rules that he's already established without disregarding them.
Yeah, he's come a long way since Hamon.
Yes. But if there were a stand that could punch rocks through frogs, I wouldn't think about it too hard.
Same, yeah.
And is everybody exhausted with their notes?
Yeah, I think that's about it for me.
I think that's my last one. I just have a lot more notes about how Okuyasu is a good boy and deserves the best, but I think that goes without saying.
You were so excited. Like, okay, a little behind the scenes thing, I don't recall if I've mentioned this before. Because we have a big backlog, and because I feel bad about having our guests fall into the deep end, I provide them all with like advanced copies of our regular episodes for the parts that we invite them to talk about. Mm-hmm. You were so excited to hear us talk about the very good boy Okuyasu and hoping so much that we were immediately in love with him.
I want people to love my son, my beautiful boy, my darling Okuyasu, just because I have a severe soft spot for good-hearted dumbasses as one myself. But yeah, no, anytime I get to this part, it's just like, I don't know if people know what to expect with Okuyasu, since he is very much like the Kakyoin or the Polnareff who is defeated and immediately joins the party. Mm-hmm. But it's clear from the outset that he is not as villainous as anything we've seen relatively recently within the context of JoJo.
He just wants to prove to his brother that he can be trusted and can take care of business, even if that business is beating up his neighbor.
I think like the defining character moment for me that kind of sold me on him, not when he gets double tapped in the face and nuts by a set of pots, though that is very, very good end to the fight. I think it's when he follows him into the house and keeps hounding him with questions, because that does really establish, like, he's not interested in the intrigue and all of that. He really just wants it. Hey, why did you heal me? That doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
I need you to establish what's going on here. I'm not sure if I should be fighting you anymore.
Yeah.
Are we dating? Tell me, are we dating?
It feels like Okuyasu, up to this point, has never had any friends because of his brother. And he is getting a very rapid crash course in his brain of what friendship is. He's processing it very loudly to other people in a haunted mansion.
Yeah.
Do we ever find out why he has baseball seams on his face?
Never.
Okay.
He just looks like that. There are some people that
he
just
wasn't born with them. They're not in his childhood pictures.
Yeah.
There are some people that just have inexplicable things on their faces.
Mm-hmm.
We never found out why Avdol has those squigglies coming down from his eyes, but then we also never saw his like 8-year-old Halloween costume pictures to
to know that it wasn't there in the first place.
Right.
Yeah.
I figure Okuyasu probably got in a fight at some point with a baseball and lost.
Yeah. Keicho threw the baseball way too hard. And it was a big baseball.
It was a massive baseball.
Yeah, just left a big dent on Okuyasu's face that never left.
It's apparently not a health condition, or else he would have fixed it through pasta.
Yeah.
it's fine. I don't think the pasta would heal anything like scars or things like that, if I'm being honest. Like, if I'm looking at the scope of his powers, it feels more like active harm as opposed to wounds that have already healed. Much in the same way that I don't think Josuke could heal a scar to its original state. Maybe? Could he?
I think he could.
I think he could do that, yeah.
If we're calling the process of making pasta damaging wheat,
Yeah, I guess that does.
then I think he could fix a scar.
Yeah.
That makes sense. It's also just nice to have a healer in the party.
Yeah.
We don't have these boys with incredible metabolisms, allowing them to get up from losing all of their blood instantly. But then they seem to have a lot to lose.
Let me just boop that blood back in you. Just there you go.
The blood's supposed to be on the inside. As long as it's there, we're fine.
Yeah. I really like Crazy Diamond's power set, though. It's super cool, and it feels really well thought out, like, right from the get-go. And it doesn't really ever undergo any massive changes to how it works.
It undergoes reevaluations to what he would expect of it, perhaps.
Yeah.
Like ways he would think to use it, but that's always the best, is when you have a very simple power set that someone figures out how to exploit in a different way.
Yeah.
Josuke is out on, like, he's playing football. He's on the high school football team. And when he slaps his teammates on the butt, it's not just a friendly hello. It, like, fixes their dislocated fingers. They're ready to go.
Fixes their dislocated ass. You got a fucked up ass. I'm gonna replace your ass. I'm the ass replacer.
That's a very specific stand power, and I can't wait to see how it's utilized.
All right, now I am genuinely out of notes, though.
Yeah.
How do we get through this biometric scan? I believe you've heard of my stand, the ass replacer.
And yes, this store does scan asses.
Well, it's only a 94% match. His ass is all wrong. This is not the guy we're looking for.
We're looking for the man with two left ass cheeks.
It's like that biometric scan section in Metal Gear Solid 2, but you're grabbing a guy and putting his ass up to the scanner instead. Yeah.
Okay, so before things get worse, PAMaster, thank you again for coming on the show. Is there anything you would like to point people at out in the world?
I stream over at Twitch on PA_master. I'm live a couple times a week, but without any set schedule, except for I am always usually live on weekends if I can help it, and Sunday nights I co-host a show called The Arcade Pit, which is run by Smite, a friend, twitch.tv/Smite, SMIGHT.
Arcade Pit is super cool.
I've actually got to participate in that later tonight. This is the first time I'm going to be playing instead of hosting.
Excitement.
Yeah,
very exciting.
I'm going to get my ass kicked live.
Good luck to you.
Thank you. I'll need it.
We're going to be right back with Let's Go to the Manga Artist's House, Part 1 and 2, and also Let's Go Hunting, episodes 14 through 16, coming at you next week.
Please enjoy.
Yeah.
Yes. But before we go, while you are going to Twitch, PA_master, while you are watching Arcade Pit every Sunday evening on Smite's channel, SMIGHT, we'd also love it if people spread this show around, talk to your friends, talk to your family, talk to your contacts. It's December. The holidays are coming. You want to make some small talk? Talk about this shit. But seriously, every once in a while, I get people coming on to my Twitter saying, oh, I just found out about Bizarre Podcast Dogs Must Die. I'm so excited to catch up. This is a great show. And these are people who follow me, and I plug incessantly like a fucking madman. So when I say that word of mouth works, it is important. Mm-hmm. So with that,
please enjoy the rest of part 4. To be continued.
To be continued.
See you, everybody.